You ever try to use a new app or a website or even just a ticket machine and you end up feeling kind of dumb? You hit the wrong button, you can't find the menu you need, and you just blame yourself. We call it human error. But what if I told you that most of the time human error is actually a myth? Yeah, really. Let's get into it.
I'm serious. That frustration, that feeling like you're just not getting it, it's probably not on you. The real problem, well, it's somewhere else entirely.
Come on, we've all been there, right? You're trying to book a flight and you accidentally close the whole window. Or maybe you lose an hour of work because the save button was hidden in some weird place. You just get completely lost and you throw your hands up and think, ugh, I messed up again.
And this is the whole point. This quote just nails it. The problem usually isn't the person, it's the design of the thing they're trying to use. So when something is confusing or just plain hard to use, that's a design failure, not a you failure. And look, this isn't just about getting a little annoyed. Bad design can have huge consequences. I mean, think about a confusing interface in a hospital or in an airplane cockpit. Those so-called human errors can suddenly become catastrophic. So getting this right, it really, really matters.
Okay, so if the problem is bad design, then what's the solution? Well, there's this whole field called interaction design, and its entire reason for existing is to design things for, actual people. And we're not just talking about making pretty buttons here. Interaction design is about the whole conversation between you and a product. Think about it less like you're building a machine and more like you're planning a really smooth, helpful chat.
This is a perfect way to think about it. Technology changes how we do things, right? With an old school manual stapler, your process is simple. Write a page, print it, staple it, repeat. But then you get an electric stapler. It's way more powerful. So what happens? The whole workflow changes. Now you write a bunch of pages, print them all out, and then staple everything in one big go. See? The new tech completely changed the interaction. So how do designers actually pull this off? Well, it all starts with a golden rule that works for pretty much any craft, whether you're building a chair or an app. You've got to understand your materials. But here's the twist. For interaction design, you're working with two materials. The first is the obvious one, the computer. You know, its limits, its tools, all that tech stuff. But the second material, and this one is arguably way more important, is people. Understanding our psychology, how we think, what stresses us out, what just feels right, that's the secret sauce. And you can't just guess what people are like, right? You have to actually get to know them. So how do designers do it? Well, they've got some really cool tools to build that understanding, that empathy, that leads to a product you'll actually love to use. One of their most powerful tools is something called a persona. And no, it's not just a bunch of stats like female, age 25 to 35. It's a detailed fictional character built from real research who stands in for an entire group of users. The whole point is to make the user's needs feel tangible and real. So let's meet Betty. She's not just a warehouse manager. She's Betty. She's 37. She has 2 kids she wants to get home to, so she hates working late. She has some trouble with her right hand, and this is a big one. New computer systems kind of freak her out. Suddenly, when a designer asks, "What would Betty think of this?" they're not thinking about some abstract user. They're thinking about a real person. Okay, so once you have a persona like Betty, you can put her into what's called a scenario. A scenario is really just a simple story. It's the step-by-step of how someone like Betty would try to get something done with your product. It's basically a way to walk a mile in their shoes. All right, let's try one. Here's Brian. He wants to show a movie to his friend. So first, he downloads it. Then he grabs his personal movie player. He presses menu, finds Bluetooth Connect, and taps it. Next, on his computer, he just drags the movie file over to the player icon, and boom, the player's screen tells him, "Downloading now." By just writing out that simple story, a designer can see exactly where things might get confusing, way before they've even started to build the thing. So you see how this all connects? That deep understanding of the user, it leads directly to what we actually see on the screen. A really well-designed app or website should feel like a place you can just explore. You shouldn't need a map. And great navigation really boils down to 4 golden rules. At any given moment, you, the user, should be able to answer these 4 questions without even thinking about it. Where am I? What can I do here? Where can I go from here? And where have I already been? If a design nails all 4 of those, you'll never feel lost. And this all circles back to a super famous design principle,
Form follows function. Basically, the way a screen looks shouldn't just be about what's trendy or cool. The layout has to be driven by what the user is actually trying to do. Here's a perfect, simple example. Center-aligned text. Sure, it can look kind of formal or fancy, but it's a pain to read because your eye has to hunt for the beginning of every single line. Now look at left-aligned text. It creates this nice, strong vertical line that your eye can just zoom down. It might not win any awards for being exciting, but it's way easier to read. Function over form. Same thing with numbers. If you need to compare a list of numbers, what's the most important landmark? The decimal point, right? So if you align them by the decimal, you can tell which number is bigger in a fraction of a second. It's such a small detail, but it makes a massive difference. And get this, it's not just about what you put on the screen. It's also about what you leave out. White space, you know, the empty gaps between things? It's an incredibly powerful tool. It lets you group things that belong together and separate things that don't. It creates a structure that your brain just gets instantly. So when you bring all of this together, really understanding the user, making navigation crystal clear, laying things out thoughtfully, you end up with something that feels effortless. You get design that just works. There's a key concept for this, and it's called affordances. Now, that sounds like a super academic word, but the idea is simple. It just means that the way an object looks should give you a clue about how to use it. A doorknob just looks like it should be turned. A handle looks like it should be pulled. That's an affordance. In the digital world, a button with a little shadow looks like it can be pushed, right? It affords clicking. Good design is full of these little cues that make things feel intuitive. So here's the big takeaway. The next time you use a piece of tech that feels almost magical, that's just so easy and intuitive, know that it's not actually magic. It's the result of a very deliberate, very empathetic process. It means a designer somewhere worked really hard to understand you. So I want to leave you with a question. Think about the stuff you use every single day. Your phone, your favorite app, even a gadget in your kitchen. What's one thing that just gets it right? It's so easy, so intuitive, you don't even have to think about it. Now that you know a little more, why do you think that is?